Hey guys, Varanice here with our auto chess tier list for season 15. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree. Think we should have included something that we didn't, or you feel like something should have been placed differently. Let's get into it. So first, I think we'll start with the big dog in town, kind of the elephant in the room right now. Insect Redfox, pretty good. I think it goes into S tier. Pretty meta defining right now. You play 4 insects, Redfox, Soul Reaper's pretty common. Try to go for Cure Glove. You can play Monkey with it. You can play Veno. It's very, very good build. It's pretty hard to beat. It forces a lot of builds right now in the meta to play Doom, and builds that can't play Doom or find other ways to circumvent Redfox, I think generally kind of are struggling a little bit as a result of that. Kind of keep that in mind with the rest of the tier list here. The other build that I think that needs to go into S tier is 9 Feathered. 9 Feathered's really, really good right now. It's very consistent. It only really requires 1 4 cost to get online with Doom, and it can apply a lot of pressure in the mid game. It's one of the only builds that naturally kind of does decently into Redfox right now, which is certainly not to be understated. It forces the Redfox to kind of build an extra item in Oblivion to specifically deal with that. And even then, it can play Grim Doom, which does pretty well into Redfox. It's got a lot of good matchups, and it only really struggles badly against 9 Mage or people that have built MKC in the late game. So in general, I think 9 Feathered is very, very strong and is also kind of meta defining at the moment. Those are probably the only 2 builds that I'm going to put into S tier at a quick glance. For this video, or when I was preparing to make this video, I thought I was going to include Div Shaman up here, but as of a couple of days ago, Shaman's kind of got nerfed really hard. So I think I have to bump this down to A tier now. I'm not sure exactly where I will order this, because this is probably the build that I feel the least confident on my placing of for now. Div Shaman's very, very strong in the late game. You kind of get to cheat out a bunch of really strong units early with Shaman. Doesn't quite have the same punch that it had a few days ago before the patch, because generally you're getting worse Shaman transforms than you were before. But I've seen people increasingly starting to play a variant with Mage that's pretty good. You can play like Tortolasaurus with God of Thunder. And that seems to be pretty good. I've also seen people play it with Redfox, with Phantom Queen, and then the Horn Assassin gives you 3 Assassin, and that seems to be pretty good as well. So Div Redfox, in a way, seems good. It's very flexible, so there's a lot of different ways that you can fill this out at level 10. So I'm not entirely sure yet how much the Shaman nerf has affected it. Problem is that you need Gao, Khan, and Scryer to play it. Yeah, and that's kind of the issue. Is it's definitely not like these 2 builds, Insect Sins or Insect Assassins and 9 Feathered, where you can just play it every single game. It's very dependent on the legendary pool. I think I have to put it somewhere in A tier. We'll see once we put some other builds on here where I feel like it should go within that. 5 Dragon's pretty good, but it's got a similar problem to Div Shaman, where you kind of really want like God of Thunder and Frostblaze in the pool to even consider it, and even then I think it's very situational. It's definitely powerful though. I think I'll put it into B. It can win games, but it's definitely a build that I feel like you gotta practice a bit, and it's pretty niche right now, I would say. 6 Beast is pretty good. It's probably the easiest shell to kind of fit Redfox into right now. I'm not sure if I want to put this over or below Div Shaman. I think I'll put it over it for now. The issue with 6 Beast right now is that you do need 2 different 4 cost units to be able to play it. So you'll need to find Razor Claw and Redfox most of the time. But the upside is that it can transition into insects relatively easily, which is nice. You also have the opportunity to potentially transition into something like 6 Glacial, and it's probably the best way to play Redfox relatively early, like earlier in the mid game. So I think it's a solid A tier for me. 6 Egersis I think is pretty good. It's a little bit awkward right now because I've seen a couple different versions of it where it plays either Hunters or Redfox or DK, and a lot of times I kind of feel like I would rather be playing insects if I was going Redfox, or I feel like I would rather be playing transitions into something else a lot of the time. It can definitely high roll and win games, so I think I'm going to put this into B. I think I'll put it over Dragon. Next we've got 6 Glacial. 6 Glacial is pretty good. It's kind of taken a step down from where it was at before. It's been nerfed a couple times, and I think it's not quite the oppressive late game build that it was, but it's definitely still really strong. I think I put this into A. Still very good. Like Monkey 2 with 6 Glacial is still absolutely terrifying for a lot of builds, but I think it struggles a bit against like insects, and if you kind of like need to also build Oblivion in addition to Cleave to have a chance against Feathered, and I've even seen it lose to 6 Beasts sometimes. Like 6 Beast into 6 Glacial, you kind of need a lot of stuff to validate that transition now, but it's still good. 6 Human, I think 6 Human's pretty good. You can definitely high roll it into level 12 and do some pretty crazy stuff. I think for that alone, you kind of have to keep it into A. Maybe you could bump this down to the top of B. I'll leave it in the bottom of A for now, but not a whole lot to say there. Knights kind of suck, but getting 6 Human online early and high rolling into level 12 has just always been very, very good. 6 Knight, I kind of feel like is borderline unplayable right now. It doesn't really serve much of a purpose in the meta at the moment. It's mostly just a vehicle to play 6 Human. So I kind of separated this because I wanted to illustrate this point, but Knights in general are pretty bad right now. A lot of things that are good into Knights are good right now, like Insects, 9 Feathered, 6 Beast are just not matchups you want to be playing as Knights. In addition to that, the Frantic change like really hurt Knights, so I think they're in a terrible spot right now at the moment. 6 Mech is pretty good. You get to high roll and get early 3-star legendaries, which is always nice. I think I'm going to put this a little bit over Humans because I think it's a little bit more consistent at the moment. Maybe even over 6 Glacial here for now. I'm trying to put it in the middle. Yeah, I think we'll do that for now. It's a little bit legendary dependent because you really want to see things like Devastator and Helicopter in the pool. Cannon, Dark Spirit. Something that I think is a little bit underrated when playing 6 Mech is that there's kind of like a certain point where you've hit enough legendaries that playing Goblin and Mech doesn't really benefit you enough to validate, like, keep playing it. And I think there's a certain point where you've hit enough legendaries off of Golden Hearts that you want to transition to, like, Div. 9 Assassin, I think 9 Assassin can win games, but I don't really understand, like, when to play it over another build at the moment. So, like, it's definitely playable in some situations, but I think I have to put it pretty low. But maybe this is B. Maybe it's D. It's somewhere down here. I think I'm going to put it in C for now. 9 Hunter. 9 Hunter, I think, kind of has the same issue as 6 Egersis to me. I don't really know when exactly I would rather play this instead of, like, Insects Redfox, because you're often in a similar position when you would play this. Like, I would have to be high rolling, like, early Egersis Ranger 3, Sniper 3 type thing with, like, an early Tsunami, so it's pretty niche for me personally, but it definitely can win games, so I think I kind of have to put this in the same tier here with, like, 9 Assassin. This is probably, like, top of C, low B for me. Next we've got 9 Mage. 9 Mage I like quite a lot right now. It's got a lot of flexibility with going back and forth between 9 Feathered when you've got early Wizards. I also think that 9 Mage does very well into 9 Feathered, so if you see other people playing that, it generally does pretty well. The difficulty is that it's pretty hard to close out games with 9 Mage and get first, just because of the fact that you get countered so heavily by items that are relatively accessible. So it's a strong choice for, like, consistently top 3ing, but it can be hard to win with. So I think for me, I put this somewhere in, like, the top of A. Maybe even over 6 Beast. So next we got 9 Warrior. 9 Warrior is really good right now. They gave it extra armor for some reason, so now 9 Warrior has 20 armor. which changes a lot of the matchups ever so slightly in its favor. I forget the exact math, but I think it works out to like an extra like 15 or 20% effective HP on your units, which is very significant. You get to run Doom naturally in your build, which is great against things like Redfox. It also helps against Tortola. You have the opportunity to play things like Lancer and potentially transition into 6 Glacial if necessary. You have access to Rogue Guard, which is just a generally strong threat. I think 9 Warrior is very good right now. I'd probably put it somewhere around here near 6 Beast. I think I'll put it over it. Next we've got Cave Demons. Cave Demons, I think, are kind of struggling similarly to Div Cave, which we'll get to in a second, but I think I would put this in, like, B somewhere. I think somewhere around here. I personally play this more than 5 Dragons, so, like, stylistically, I'm not someone that plays 5 Dragons much, but Rogue Guard carries pretty good, but I think it's hard to survive long enough to get 6 Cave and all the things necessary for that. And in a lot of situations, you'd rather have Doom Grim combo and Div Cave than going for Rogue carry. If you just wanted to go Rogue carry, I think a lot of times you'd rather be in Warriors right now. Just because of the tempo when getting the build online. Next we've got Div Cave. Div Cave I kind of like a little bit more at the moment, like I said, because of the easy access to Doom Grim. I think I would put this somewhere like lower in A. Probably like here, I think. Next we've got Divinity Warlock. Divinity Warlock is pretty situational at the moment, I think. There's like situations where you can go into it very late out of 6 mech, but I mean, I don't really count that. That's more of like a 6 mech thing than a Divinity Warlock. The nerf to Swordman also really hurts this because you can't really go like Beyblade build anymore like you could in the past. So I think I put this in like the bottom of B or the top of C maybe. Let's go bottom of B. Then we have a Div Mage Warlock or the Anti-Mage build. I haven't really seen this have too much success in quite a while. I'm not really sure where this fits in the meta. It's definitely strong if you can get things like God of Thunder and Dark Spirit, but that's pretty high rolly and it's not really something you can plan on happening much. So, and I think a lot of times that you'd have all of this stuff going on, you'd rather be playing like Divhorn Shaman maybe. So I think for me, I have to put this in like top of D until we kind of find a better or a more consistent reason to be playing this within the meta framework. Next, we've got Feathered Assassins. Feathered Assassins has really struggled since the Frantic Mask rework. 9 Feathered has pretty much largely replaced it in the meta. To the point where sometimes like 9 Feathered on level 10 will transition to like 9 Feathered 3 Assassin in some like niche scenarios. So 6 Feathered 3 Assassin doesn't really see any play anymore, unfortunately. And I don't really expect that to change. So I think I have to put this pretty low. Again, I'm not really counting that late game transition as in 9 Feathered as Feathered Sins. I'm kind of counting that as part of 9 Feathered. Yeah, Shining Assassin costs 5 now, so this build just doesn't really work the way it used to. Next up is Greater. Greater's kind of the same thing, where it was a build that was incredibly reliant on Frantic to kind of hit a certain power spike in the mid game, and it just doesn't have that anymore. So I haven't really seen anybody have any success with this build. I'm gonna put this in D. Next we have 6 Goblin. 6 Goblin I separated from 6 Mech just to kind of talk about like like 6 Goblin Warlock type builds with like Kira, because I see some decent amount of like newer players playing it. I don't think it's great, but it's like okay. I think it's better than some of these builds in D tier. So I think I put it at like the bottom of C. Maybe over 9 Assassin. Maybe something like that. So let's take a look back over this and see if we want to move anything. I think I want to put Div Horn Shaman over 6 Beast. I still think this build's pretty good in late game. It's so legendary dependent. It's hard to compare it in that way. I think I'm gonna bump 6 Human down to the top of B, because it's really inconsistent now with how bad Knights are. I find it really hard right now to reliably win streak in like the mid game with it. And I think in a lot of situations when you're looking at these two really like high rolly builds, you'd rather be playing 6 Mech a lot of the time. I think I'm gonna bump Cave Demons down a little bit. I'm gonna put it below Dragon. I feel like I see more people winning with 5 Dragon than I do Cave Demons nowadays. Would swap Egersis and 9 Assassin. Oh, you're saying like 6 Egersis with 9 Assassin? I could see just moving 9 Assassin up here. What makes you dislike 6 Egersis so much? I guess I could see moving it down to here. I like it more than 9 Hunter. Yeah, okay. Need Deva, and if he isn't in, I find it to be meh. Yeah, okay. Alright, well, we will go with this then, I think. I guess I'll move Knights up to the bottom of C. I'm kind of looking at this and like these D tier builds are like builds that I literally never see anyone play. I still see people play Knights, but I just don't think it's any good. So I guess just for that alone, it qualifies for the bottom of C. I think 6 Mech should be S tier, but it can be played every game. So A. I could see bumping it up a bit. I don't know that I would say S. Maybe I should be playing it more. Maybe I'm underrating it. I'll put it at the top of A. I don't know that I can validate putting it into S, because I don't know that it's as meta defining as these two builds are though. It's very, very strong when you hit it, but it's very inconsistent as well. So, alright. Well, you made it this far into the video. I appreciate you guys watching. If you like auto chess content, I would appreciate it if you drop a follow or subscribe to the channel. But yeah, thanks. I'll see you later.